Hare Krishna. Let's start with Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Let's do some Radha Jap. Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha, Radha, Shri Radha. We are reading Bhagwat Geeta as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are in chapter 13 and we were reading text 8 to 12. Let's start with, yes, happiness. Happiness and distress are concomitant factors of material life. One should learn to tolerate as advised in Bhagwat Geeta. One can never restrict the coming and going of happiness and distress. So one should be detached from the materialistic way of life and be automatically equipoised to both in both cases. Generally, when we get something desirable, we are very happy. And when we get something undesirable, we are distressed. But if we are actually in the spiritual position, these things will not agitate us. To reach that stage, we have to practice unbreakable devotional service. Devotional service to Krishna without deviation means engaging oneself in the 9 processes of devotional service, which is chanting, hearing, worshipping, offering respect, etc., as described in the last verse of the 9th chapter. That process should be followed. Naturally, when one is adapted to the spiritual way of life, he will not want to mix with materialistic men. That would go against his grain. Yes. One may test himself by seeing how far he is inclined to live in a solitary place without unwanted association. Yes. Naturally, a devotee has no taste for unnecessary sporting or cinema going or enjoying some social function because he understands that these are simply a waste of time. There are many research scholars and philosophers who study sex life or some other subject. But according to Bhagwat Gita, such research work and philosophical speculation have no value. That is more or less nonsensical. According to Bhagwat Gita, one should make research by philosophical discretion into the nature of the soul. One should make research to understand the self. That is recommended here. As far as self-realization is concerned, it is clearly stated here that Bhakti Yoga is especially practical. As soon as there is a question of devotion, one must consider the relationship between the super soul and the individual soul. The individual soul and the super soul cannot be one, at least not in the bhakti conception, the devotional conception of life. This service of the individual soul to the Supreme Soul is eternal, nityam, as it is clearly stated. So, bhakti or devotional service is eternal. One should be established in that philosophical conviction. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, this is explained. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanam advayam. Those who are actually knowers of the absolute truth know that the self is realized in three different phases: a Brahman, a Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the last word in the realization of the absolute truth. Therefore, one should reach up to that platform of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus engage in the devotional service of the Lord. That is the perfection of knowledge. Beginning from practicing humility up to the point of realization of the Supreme Truth, the absolute personality of Godhead, this process is just like a staircase beginning from the ground floor and going up to the top floor. Now, on this staircase, there are many people who have reached the first floor, the second floor, or the third floor, etc. But unless one reaches the top floor, which is the understanding of Krishna, he is at a lower stage of knowledge. If anyone wants to compete with God and at the same time make advancement in spiritual knowledge, he will be frustrated. It is clearly stated that without humility, understanding is not truly possible. To think oneself God is most puffed up. Although the living entity is always being kicked by the stringent laws of material nature, he still thinks I am God because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, is amanitva, humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, one becomes subordinate to material nature. Oh, wow. So one must know and be convinced of this truth. Let's move to text 13. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Let's read the purport. The Lord, sorry, the Lord has explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activity. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first the soul and then the super soul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the second chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. There is no specific date at which the Jeev was born. Nor can anyone trace out the history of the Jivatmas or manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Yes. Therefore, it is beginningless. Correct. So, the Vedic literature confirms this. Na jayate mrityate mriyate va vipaschit. The knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. The Supreme Lord, as the Super Soul, is also stated in the Vedic literature. Shweta Svatara Upanishad 6.16. To be Pradhan Kshetra Rajna Patir Guneshah, the chief knower of the body and the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Smriti, it is said, Das Bhuto Harir Eva Nanya Swaiva Kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Vijnan, Vijnan Brahma as opposed to Anand Brahma. Anand Brahma is the supreme Brahman personality of Godhead. Yes, we learned those Anand Brahma, then Paramatma, Brahma. All the Brahmans were there. So there were around six to seven, five Brahmans, right? Yeah, there were around five Brahmans. Let's move to text 14. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Let's read the purport. As the sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the Supersoul